laptop. Okay. Okay. All right. So everything works in this room. It's delightful. Okay. Hang on, let me turn the mic on. Let's see if that works. Oh, U of A. Why did I expect anything else? Well, oh, does that work? Oh, that one works. Okay. That should make that a little bit more visible. Sorry, the screen is not descending, and I tried for today. They didn't, connect the screen, so nothing works. And unless someone else can see another switch somewhere, sometimes there's mystery switches in other places. But I don't see it, so I'm assuming that it just isn't hooked up yet, and I will have to yell at them later. It'll be fine. I won't yell at them. I'm very polite. Okay. Microphone worky? All right, very nice. Okay. So, all right. Welcome. We are today, this is the introduction to SOC 376. So this is sociology of religion. So hopefully you are in the right place, or I'm in the right place. But I know I am because Ashley's here, and I know Ashley, so hi, Ashley. All right. So I'm the all right. Wait, I should explain this. All right. So during the term, because we're a fairly big class, I got to stand. I remember my little microphone doesn't work. I have to stand in front of my laptop and not wander like I like to. During the term, because we're such a big class, I use this tool for questions. This is called Slido. And basically, in every kind of lecture, and there's 11 kind of different topics throughout the course, I have a unique Slido code at the beginning. You just either go to slido.com, enter that code, or scan this QR code with your phone. And it'll basically take you to a little web interface where you can type in questions into a Q&A. You can still raise your hand and ask questions. And in my last year teaching this, we had a lot of in-person questions, but a lot of people don't feel comfortable raising their hand. So if you want to use the Slido, absolutely feel free to. Okay, before I go forward, I know a few people have already asked, where is the E-class for the class? So here's the story. Because I am an insane person, decided it would be a very good idea to just jump straight in and go to Canvas, because we're currently in a migration. Our old LMS system is E-class, and it's terrible. I think it was designed in 1486. And they've basically slapped graphical layers on top of it, and it sucks. So they've upgraded to a new system called Canvas, which also kind of sucks. But they're like, oh, you can transition gradually. You can kind of, use E-class here and Canvas there. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to jump right in and jump into Canvas. So if you're not sure where Canvas is, and I will show you here very quickly. All right, so if you just go to the U of A website, and I've been here so long that my computer just knows I want to go to the U of A website, hamburger menu at the top here are the three little dots, right? Canvas is right there. Click on that, it'll take you in, and you should see SOC 376 in there. For the couple people I already helped, it was your only class in Canvas, which I can only assume means I am the only person crazy enough to jump into this transition on the first day, which I am. All right, with that said, that's where you'll find all of the course material, right? So courses here, all of them, you can, the landing page, fun times. Syllabus is right there if you want to click on it, but all of your important stuff is going to be under the modules tab, right? So I've got the syllabus. There's a course Q&A that you can use if you want to ask questions. Oops, I guess I should publish that. I do record the lectures and they go straight to YouTube. And so once there start to be some there, you basically they will all be in that recorded lectures module. So if you miss a class, right, or you just don't want to come to class, Ashley.
I'm good. I'm away.
Yeah, I know. You can keep up with the lectures there, right? So again, like if you don't get to class, or you just rather listen to me at chipmunk speed, right? Dial me up to 1.5. Or the nice thing about YouTube too is I think 72 hours roughly after I'm done the lecture, it captions it all for you. So if you want the captions, it's all there, and every lecture I do will be there all semester. So easy peasy. And then all of our topics, right? And unfortunately, Canvas is a little bit less slick in this way than eClass, or I'm stupid and I haven't figured it out yet. But all of the PDFs and PowerPoints are all here for the whole semester. I may modify a couple of them. I think there's some religious landscape stuff that needs updating, but basically up till 7, everything should be basically set because it's all theory. So that is where you're at. And yeah, I mean, everything is pretty much there. Course syllabus takes you to the course syllabus page or the PDF and loads it up. It's all very slick, I think, I hope. So I think the only maybe minor thing, if I look at the recorded lectures, it doesn't always load YouTube properly, but in this case, it seems to be just sending me straight to YouTube. So see, there'll be one, and eventually there'll be videos here. I usually try to post them as soon as I can, but I am forgetful. And this is not always top of my priority list, because usually if you saw my email, you would know that I get like 100 to 200 emails a day. Right now, they're all, please let me into your classes, please. Or a bunch of finance stuff for the project that I administer, which is also super fun. If you notice that I haven't posted it in a while, like 4 or 5 days, you can just email me and be like, hey, you need to post those recorded lectures, and I'll usually do it within the hour. But yeah, I'm kind of forgetful when it comes to that stuff, unfortunately. Okay. Oops, wrong one. Let's go back here. Okay, so yeah, I guess obviously you know who I am, I guess, and some of you have had classes with me before. I recognize a few faces. Dr. Jeff Broussard, and wow, as of July 1st, I am an associate teaching professor in the department with no longer on contracts, full-time job. Yay, happy days for me. More money, more happiness, it's all good. And I don't have to, ruthlessly cut down all the other sessional lectures to make sure they never supplant me as the most important sessional in the department. Now I can just leave all that behind. Not that I ever did that. If you're looking to reach me, obviously you can come talk to me after class. I have a 2-hour break after this class before I go on and teach the absolutely most exciting class in the whole department, Intro to Methods. I'm sure Ashley's face. Yeah, it's good times. Strangely, I'm the only one teaching it this semester because nobody else wanted to teach it. So there you go. Email, both of these go to the same inbox, right? I've just been around so long. I did my undergrad here as well, and I've got this very derpy old email address, jrb5@ualberta.ca. Now that I have a permanent contract, I guess that'll be my email until I die, or retire, whichever comes first. Both of those go to the same inbox. Okay, I'm going to tell you a very important rule for my email. I get a ton of email, unfortunately. Not just like a lot of, I teach 4 classes a term, so I have a lot of students. I'm administering this project, so I get like maybe 15, 20 emails a day, just asking me to transfer money here, there, and the other place. If you send me an email and I don't respond after 48 hours, forward it to me again and say, I think you might have missed this, because I guarantee I missed it. And I do want to stress this, like the last thing I want to hear is, oh, I sent you an email and you never responded. That happens because honestly, 100, 150, 200 emails every couple of days. So stuff gets pushed down that 50 email list really quickly. And sometimes I don't catch it. Plus, the university is like, we'll send you 18 emails about a bunch of stuff you don't care about. So 48 hours, if I haven't answered you, please forward me the email or bug me again. You're not bothering me. I'm not going to hate you. I promise I will give it so little thought. I will feel slightly bad. I'll be like, oh, my bad. Sorry about that. And I'm not going to be like, oh, that person bothering me. And I'm so busy and important. Totally not. I know I miss stuff. And so I'd much rather you get what you need than at the end of the semester, you're like, I wanted to review my exam, but you never answered, or whatever it happens to be. So yeah, 48-hour rule. If you haven't heard back from me in 48 hours and it's important, do bug me about it, because you're not really bugging me. You're holding me accountable. And, I don't know if I should illustrate this point. This summer, because they've cut us down to 30 gigabytes on Google Drive and Google email and everything. Come on in, Joan. Come on, enter. This is a short class. You don't have to keep me to time in this class like you did in Intro to Methods. Okay, Joan was my clock. She would tell me when I had overloaded the students with too much information in Intro to Methods, and she'd be like, you need to stop now. And I always listen to Joan, so. Okay, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I went back because I had emails going back to like 2016. I had like 11,000 unread emails, and I went back and just deleted stuff from the past. And I wanted to find one that was actually personally addressed to me, where I could be like, from like 2013 or 2018 or something, be like, apologies for the delay, but I never did find one. They were all like, academic staff update number 84. So I didn't get to have my little joke on someone. Anyway, I'm all about, you'll find out. I like to joke around. Okay, so let me just see if there's any questions. Oh, where can we find the next set of slides after the... Oh, these are questions that I didn't clear from last year, I think.
These are all 2 years ago.
Oh dear, I should have hit the clear button on Slido. I don't know why that happened. I should have cleared them last year. I must have forgotten. Okay, I'm still scrambling a little bit because I just finished marking my summer term class like at the end of, or the beginning of last week, and I've been scrambling to get everything on. And I'm doing a new course, which is Critical Media Studies 444. It's my first like senior level class seminar. And I'm like, it's critical media studies. I'm really excited about it, but it's soaking up a bunch of my time. So I'm a little behind, and some of those little details get screwed up. Okay, evaluations. It's a pretty straightforward course, right? It's three exams, and essentially, I have midterm 3, but it's actually the final exam. Because really, they're all kind of similar, right? They're not, the final exam isn't what I would say like cumulative in terms of like you have to go back to stuff that you learned in September in one sense. Now this class is a little bit different. So if you've taken like sociology of youth with me or intro sociology, those are very segmented into thirds. This class is a little bit different in terms of the exams. So, when people ask, are the exams cumulative? My answer is sort of, which is probably not the most helpful answer, but it is the answer. Okay, like if I don't know if I have the topics on here. I don't. I usually have sometimes I have a topics list. What we're going to look at the beginning of the course, right? So we're going to look at like theory, what is religion, how religion works, sociological theories of religion, and theories of secularization, right? So those are like our 4 first units of the course. Those 4 first units, because they contain all of the, well, maybe not all of them, but what I think are the core theories of religion. You're going to be coming back to those throughout the terms. So like, exam number 1, you're in the wrong class. All right, that's okay. The signage is not good. Okay, so on midterm number 1. All right, very good. Midterm number 1, right? You're going to be looking at kind of explaining those, so what is religion, how religion works, theories of religion, and theories of secularization. When it comes to midterm, actually, I'm not sure, theories of secularization might be on midterm 2, but when it comes to midterm 2, you'll be using those theories to answer some of the questions on midterm 2. So, those theories are all really important, and you have to keep them in mind, right? Because you won't be able to answer the questions, here and here without this stuff. So you won't be asked to say re-explain, Stark's market theory, but you might be asked, if we talk about the growth in people who identify as non-religious, which theory from here best explains that and why, right? So there's going to be, anyway, it'll make sense once we get there, and I promise, I have a class blocked off before each exam to do exam review, and I will walk through some practice questions with you, show you how they work, and give you, not a cheat sheet, but a kind of a good idea of what is on the exam. Now, that said, all of the exams are open book, right? They're all open book. So you can use your notes. And the way I've done it in the past, and I think Canvas will allow this as well, I have to play with it a bit and work it out, but I think it's going to be okay. I generally just do them online. So on the day of that exam, you don't have to come to class and sit here and listen to the person next to you breathing loudly or clacking on their keyboard, right? You can do it from your house in your pajamas or whatever feels best for you. And it's open that whole 24-hour period, right? So on this day, you'll have basically from 0:00 hours to 23:59 to write the exam. Now that said, you'll only get 65 minutes to do it. So once you start it, the timer starts and you have to complete it within 65 minutes. But if you want to do it at 10 o'clock at night, whatever you want to do. That said, I do recommend doing it earlier in the day, because if you have questions or something malfunctions and you want to email me, I'm in my 40s. I go to bed at 10 o'clock. So I have 3 kids. They keep me pretty busy. I'm not answering emails at 11 o'clock. I do wake up in the morning, exercise and then check my phone, and then often find in a very bemused way that someone sent me an email at 3 in the morning, panicked about something, and I kind of chuckle and then wait 3 hours before I answer you.
What if we send the email at 9:59? Would you be able to answer?
If you're risking that I'm looking at my phone at 9:59 at night, if you send it to me and I'm looking at my phone at 9:59 at night, 100% I'll answer. Odds are not good though, because usually I'm dead to the world by then. Anyway, I think that's all that's there. Any questions? Anything? Yeah, Joe.
On E-class, there is no on E-class, I don't have sociology.
That's because I don't like you and I purposely excluded you. No, I'm kidding. It's on Canvas. I've moved everything over to Canvas. That's.
Scroll down a tiny bit. No, sorry, go up tiny, and it'll say Canvas can be accessed right here.
Aha. It's the new system that they're transitioning everything to, and because I want to torture myself and apparently all of you, I am switching right away. Which apparently no one else is. Everyone else is like, I'm not moving from this learning management software because I have to. So that's how it goes. And I'm not that. I'm just like, what the hell? Get it over with. Okay, no textbook for the class. Yay, I'm not going to make you pay a whole bunch of money. So I will be, and again, I'm a little bit behind. I usually have this ready on day one. I'll be posting PDFs of the readings. Or if you look in the syllabus, for a couple of them, they are just web links, right? So you just have to click on the link that's in the syllabus and it'll take you over to the correct web page where you can do the readings. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I play a little fast and loose with copyright law. So if because I don't know. It's not as bad in this class as it is in critical media studies, where I think I've just outright stolen a few books and just going to hand them out to students as PDFs. Please don't tell anyone. If the library finds out, I will get in trouble for this. But yeah, there'll just be links to PDFs that you can read, right, for the course. Now, mostly the readings in this class are, I would say, supplemental. I won't write it down, but they're supplemental. The core of the class is really the lectures, where I kind of go through all of the concepts, ideas, and a whole bunch of things that are going on. However, the readings can be useful if what I'm saying doesn't make sense, or you want to dive a little bit deeper or into a little bit more detail on what we're talking about, say to get ideas for examples that you have to use for, answering questions on the exam. So definitely, they're there. There's no textbook. they're good readings. They're, mostly journal articles and a few other, things, research papers that have been put out by various institutes. They're really interesting and really good. But, just keep in mind, they're not like, I'm not going to be that professor that basically, is like, but on line 15 of the Stark paper, it says this, and you didn't say that, so you don't get the points on the exam, because the question was designed so that you had to read and highlight everything and remember it all, right? I'm not going to do that. They're there kind of to help you if what I'm saying doesn't make sense, if you want to go a little bit deeper, but they're supplemental to the lectures. The lectures are really what you need to worry about in the course. Okay, how are we doing so far? Good? Okay. Oh, the miscellaneous points. Okay. And this, sorry, I've sort of added this point recently. One thing I do want to say is, because I get this on, the spot surveys and the, on Rate My Professor sometimes, and it mildly annoys me, so I thought I'd address it at the beginning. This is not a comparative religions class, right? So basically, a lot of people kind of think sociology of religion is probably, you go and you learn a little bit about Christianity, a little bit about Islam, a little bit about Buddhism, right? A little bit about Hinduism, right? Where I outline kind of the basic beliefs. That's not really what the field of sociology of religion is. It's more about how religion works. So we're going to spend a whole bunch of time, talking about theories that are pretty general and, can apply to a lot of religions. But, in terms of delving into, the Quran says X, Y, Z compared to the Bible, that's a different class. I think that's Religion 111 in religious studies, like comparative world religions or something like that. A very interesting class, no doubt, but not this class. So if you're, if you took this class because you're like, you want a comparative religions class, I'm just warning you that that's not what you're going to get in this class. Okay, the other thing is when it comes to, there's a couple of points. A lot of the class ends up being focused on Christianity. And there's a couple of reasons for this. And you'll see this when we look at the theories, right? Most of the people who came up with the core theories of SOC of religion were either European or North American, right? And it's only probably from like the late 1980s to 1990s that the field even really starts to really think about religions that are a little bit different than, say, the three big Abrahamic religions, right? Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. But really, the main frame of reference for sociology of religion and the people who are, writing the initial text, so Marx, Durkheim, Weber, Parsons, and Robert Bellah, and all of the kind of really early thinkers in SOC of religion were all kind of dealing with a Christian context. So a lot of the theories work really well for Christianity and really don't work well for, say, Zen Buddhism, right? Because it's just a very different thing. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but you might be like, oh, this is very Eurocentric. And the field of sociology of religion is a little bit Eurocentric, right? Because it starts from a bunch of Europeans trying to figure out how religion works, what it does, and all of this stuff. And their principal frame of reference is basically Christianity and Judaism a little bit, with some of them being like having a little bit of knowledge of Islam kind of on the edges, but it's really not core. Okay, and me too, when it comes to my expertise, it's principally in, Christianity. So a lot of the examples, that I might use will be probably Christian. I'll try to throw a few out, I know a lot, like I've read the Quran and the Book of Mormon, the Bhagavad Gita, but, where my comfort zone is really Christianity. And so I'll probably use a lot of examples from Christianity, and there's a couple of kind of units midway through the course. One on a book called The Rise of Christianity, which is a really, really great book. And it's more about how new religious movements or cults get their start. And then, what is it? The Churching of America, right? Which is about how basically America became as highly religious as it is. So those are kind of explicitly Christian in lots of ways. Okay, and that's my expertise. That's what I also find the most interesting. And again, my interest is principally in Canada and the US, which were both historically kind of Christian societies. Okay, so what else? I want you to do good. right? Let me put it this way. I want you to do as well in this class as you want to do, right? So if you're, angling for an A, I would like to help you get that. If C is for cookie and that's good enough for me, that's okay too. Not everybody, wants an A in every single class, and, for some people it's C's get degrees, and I'm fine with that. I want to help you get that C, right? I want to make sure that you get that C or better and all of that stuff. Now, I can't help you if you don't talk to me or communicate with me, right? And, if you email me at the end of the semester and you're like, hey, I'm 7% away from the grade I really wanted, and I already filed the grades and put them into bear tracks, at that point, there's nothing I can do. But if you come see me after the first midterm, or before the midterm, you're like, I'm struggling with the concepts, then I can work with you, right? And we can give you tips for the next midterm or all this stuff. But just don't leave it to the last minute. I also have sort of an informal rule that, you can review your exams. Because there's 90 of you and there's increasing pressure for me to let another 10, 15 students into the class. I don't put feedback under each, all of them are short answer questions. I don't think I mentioned that yet, but I'll tell you that in a sec. All the exams are a couple of short answer questions. I don't put feedback under every single question. You have to make an appointment and come talk to me, and I'll explain sort of, what you did right and where you lost marks. But I sort of have an informal rule that you can only review the first midterm until the day of the second midterm, right? Once the second midterm's in course, you've waited a bit too long. And I usually get the exams back in about a week. I'm pretty quick about it most of the time. There might be some exceptions to that. Say we had trouble finding a time that worked for both of us. But generally, to avoid people coming to me after the final exam and mark hunting, be like, I want to review all 3 of my exams. And I'm like, I did that once when I was inexperienced and young, some time ago when I started teaching, back in the 2010s, when most of you were in elementary school, I think. I don't know. I'm losing track of how old you are. Certainly junior high, probably. Anyway, someone came to me after the final exam and literally spent 3 hours fighting with me for every grade on a multiple choice exam. Why isn't this answer right? It's because, it's the worst possible answer of all the answers you could have picked, but aside from that, please go home. So, just to kind of protect all of our time, happy to review exams. Please don't leave it till after the final exam, because trust me, it's when you're just mark hunting. I'm not going to say students do that, but you obviously are if I only had 3 more marks in the whole course, I would be up 1 letter grade. Please don't do that to me. It's a very uncomfortable experience. Okay, yeah, if you're struggling with course material, come talk to me. I got time after this class. My office is honestly just upstairs, 1 floor, so that's super easy. We could do in person or Zoom appointments, or I guess Google Meet is what I typically use, not Zoom. If you for one-on-one appointments and all this fun stuff. We can even review the exam over Zoom or Google Meet. It's super easy for me just to share my screen. Okay. How are we doing? Okay, I know, it's pretty straightforward. How should you address me in emails? I'm okay with fairly informal addresses. Jeff or Professor Broussard, Dr. Broussard, all of these things are fine. Whatever, I don't know, just be polite. It's fine. I'm not too hung up on the doctor thing. I'm not one of those people who is like, that's Dr. Broussard. I only do that to my relatives because I don't like them. I'm kidding. I don't talk to my relatives. Okay. This is, my aunt, who I never talked to, and I haven't talked to in probably 20 years. When I got my PhD, she asked my dad, well, is he going to make us call him Dr. Broussard? I was like, when was the last time I talked to her? Sure. Sometime, I don't know, at a funeral, maybe? Hers, I hope? She's the cuckoo aunt. Anyway, I'm not too hung up on the doctor thing. But honestly, Jeff is fine. Dr. Broussard is fine. Professor Broussard is fine. It's all good. Hey is probably not the best. yo, let's go a little bit more formal than that. And I will warn you, I said I have a lot of email, so I've been told that at times when I reply to student, my responses can come off as curt and to the point. I'm sorry, I don't have time to be like, hello, Ashley. I hope you are doing wonderfully well today. The weather is lovely. Now on to your question. It's more like, yeah, that's fine. Might be all you get from me, so anyway. I apologize for that in advance. It's just like email gets overwhelming. Okay, so what are we going to look at in this class? We're going to look at what is religion. And if you're thinking, wow, that's actually pretty obvious, we're going to have fun. Because actually it's a really, really difficult question to answer. One so difficult that at one point, Andrew Greeley, who was one of the leading kind of lights in the field of sociology of religion, basically said defining religion is basically hopeless and we should just give up, right? Like we can't get something that encompasses all religions, so screw it. Well, I think we've moved past Greeley, and I think I've got a pretty good definition of religion coming from Christian Smith. But it's actually much less straightforward than you might think. Okay, next topic will be, how does religion work? Like, what does it do? What makes a religion a religion? How does it work? How does it, perpetuate itself? What does it look like? How does it spread? All of these sorts of things. Okay, and here probably, I'm sure you all love theory. What are the core theories about how religion operates, right? And we're going to run the field from the really classical ones, some Marx, Durkheim, Weber, all the way through to some much more contemporary ones and ones that I think are more interesting and fun and much more descriptive than Marx, Durkheim, and Weber. None of whom I am a fan of when it comes to definitions of religion, but we'll get to that. You'll get to hear my anti-Marxist diatribes. Short, though, they are. Not a big fan of Marx's definition of religion or his theories of religion. Okay, we're going to look at, why do some religions thrive while others die off? And specifically, right, we're going to look at, the book I mentioned a second ago called The Rise of Christianity, which is really Rodney Stark's kind of attempt to answer the question, why did Christianity get itself off the ground, right? What was it that made Christianity successful in those first kind of 400 years after the death of Jesus? And how does this tell us things about kind of contemporary examples, right? So in this book, he'll compare it to things like the Unification Church out of Korea, or the Moonies, the Mormons, right? Any Mormons in the room? No, don't raise your hand. I don't want to make you reveal yourself. Only because, I'm sorry, I joke about Mormonism sometimes. I'm sorry. I'm not that sorry. No, Joan is right. I'm not that. It's not like I'm not sorry enough to not do it. I just am going to feel bad that you were in the room and I made fun of you. So don't worry. I make fun of everybody at some point. But, for some reason, Mormonism will occasionally get more scorn than it probably deserves. Okay, this one, and probably, this is a really interesting one. We're going to look at the religious landscape and specifically theories of secularization. So how does it work for a world to go from, either religious to secular, and is it even happening, right? So we'll talk about things like what's called the rise of the nuns. This kind of nun. And by this we mean nothing in particular, right? When it comes to religion or no religion, not this kind of nun. We're not going to talk about them. Not that they're not interesting, but the nuns with a U are not really rising. But yeah, are the nuns, right? The nothing in particular, no religious. Is it growing? What does it look like? What does it mean for the future? And probably like the ultimate question the sociology of religion has been trying to answer, and which I will give you a bunch of different versions of, hopefully without telling you what to think, is modernity incompatible with religion, right? Because this is one of the big contentions of the field, that the modern world and technology and science and rationality are incompatible with religion, and therefore as we become more technologically advanced and scientific, and rational, basically religion should die off, right? Now, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but people have been making this prediction for low on about 400 years, and as you know, there are no religious people around. Certainly none in this room. No, I'm kidding. Obviously there are. So, you know, there's some contention around this question of whether modernity is incompatible with religion. A lot of people take it for granted that it is, but I don't know that that is as obvious as a lot of people think it is. So we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about a bunch of different positions on it. Okay. Are there any any informal assessment opportunities? No. And the reason is because I am only one man. And I have no TAs, and I teach 4 classes. So unfortunately, sort of the examinations that are there are what's there. And it's just, you know, in a class of like 25, maybe. So if I was at McEwen, I'd be like, totally, let's do informals. At U of A, where it's like, how many people can we pack into this sardine can of a room? Although they did a nice job of renovating it with one critical sort of oversight. I'm sure they're getting around to fixing it any day now. Unfortunately, I just can't, right? I don't have the capacity to, like, if 30 of you decided to do informal assessments, I think my doctor would have to up my meds. My blood pressure meds, it's just too much. So unfortunately, I don't have the kind of spare capacity to do other assessments outside of what's available. I'm sorry. I wish I did. Okay, exams. So basically, the 2 midterms are 5 and the final is 6, right? So basically, there's 5 questions. So you have, you know, for each question, about 12 minutes to answer the question on the exam. They are all short answers, so it's all kind of written response. That said, I'm not marking you on grammar. I'm not marking you on style. You know, I'm not marking you on, you know, the beauty of your prose or anything like that. Is the information I need there, and is what you're saying makes sense, right? And I mean, there's been occasions where I couldn't make sense of your answer because you scribbled it down so quickly. Well, I mean, typed it in so quickly that it was a little bit jumbled. And then people come and they sort of like explain to me what they were trying to say, and I might be like, oh, partial mark increase, right? I'm stern but benevolent. So yeah, the 2 midterms, midterm 1, midterm 2, are 5 questions. Short answer. The final is 6, right? They're all, and like I said, they're all open book. So, you know, if you want to create notes, you know, that you can just copy paste into answering certain questions, I will never know, because I am not keeping an eye on that at all. There's no monitoring software. There's no anything. The question bank is fairly varied. I have a lot of questions. So, you know, if you're thinking I'm going to sit with my friend and we're going to get the same questions and we'll collaborate, tee-hee-hee. Probably not, because you're going to get a completely different set of questions. Because I think for the first exam, you get 5 questions. I think I have about 60 in the bank. So there's a lot of varied questions. The other thing, I have worked really hard to write questions that ChatGPT cannot understand. And I test all of my questions against multiple AIs to be like, how would you answer this question? And if it answers it well, then I gotta make it more obscure. And mostly it's the wording is like as discussed in the class, and you know, unless there's probably something where you can upload every single lecture into the class, and you know what, if you want to go to that length, you've beaten me, okay? But mostly I've sort of like made it so ChatGPT will give really, really lousy answers. And you know, I've tested it. I'll test it against Gemini. I'll test it against Copilot. And I'll just throw them all into a bunch. The meta one is hilariously bad, so I probably won't bother with that one. But you know, I'll test it against a few different ones, and if it comes up with good answers, I'll make the question less understandable to AI. You will still understand it because you're a human with a brain, and you will have been in class, every single class, paying attention. Sorry, I'm just teasing you, actually.
What if we use an AI like question writer?
That's fine, as long as, like, if you want to use it to clean up your response and make it a little bit more grammatical, all good. But trust me when I say, if you just throw the question in there, there's a really good chance it's going to come up with garbled gibberish that is going to be like, oh, that's garbled gibberish. 2 out of 10. You get 2 out of 10 for writing something down. Do you have a question, Brian, or are you just stretching? Okay, cool. Alrighty. I don't know all of your names, by the way. These are just students I've had in the past. Okay. I think that's... Any question? Okay. Is point form okay? It's okay, but it's... Too much brevity can be dangerous. I notice there's no clock in here. Yeah, too much brevity can be dangerous when it comes to some of these questions. So I'm okay if you want to put things in point form, but I beg of you, give me enough to give you marks, right? And that's all I'll say. How much detail would you need to write for full marks? I'll show you, right? Not today. Not today, but in general, I will, like before the exam, I will show you what good answers to these questions look like. And how much detail you should have. Are you allowed to record lectures? I guess. I'm already recording them though. So you don't have to. Maybe you came in late. I'm recording all of these lectures and they're going to go up on YouTube. So you don't have to record them. But, if you want to record them on your own for some reason, just come talk to me. There's like a form that you have to get filled out. It's like a consent from me, and we might as well, dot our I's and cross our T's. Point form, okay. Essay style, I got all of these. Okay. And I think that's it for me. So that was longer than I thought, 45 minutes. Okay. If you don't like that, please drop the class. I have such a long list of people trying to join. But yeah, looking forward to it. And on Friday, we'll start talking about what is religion. I'll upload the reading sometime this afternoon. And you can kind of get started on looking at that. All right. We'll see you on Friday. Yeah, no worries. Hello.
So I'm assuming you recognize me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't remember your name.
Michael.
Michael, okay.
I'm assuming since now you have a current position that lecture you did last year at Job Krieger's
Yeah.
class work.
Apparently so.
Yeah. I had another question pertaining to the project. What was it? How are the exams going to work with it being open? I don't understand.
So basically you load up the page and
No, I mean, like,
at home and
what kind of questions would it be?
I'll show you. I promise. I'm very transparent about what this is going to look like.
Okay.
But yeah, they're pretty in depth. But yeah, I promise you this. I will not shock you with anything because you will have seen what I'm going to do. And I'm going to be like, you should prepare something like this because you're going to get a question of this type.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, there's no surprises. So, and I will give you as much forewarning as I
Personally,
can.
I'm not a fan of open book questions. Or
Exams?
I do better on closed book written exams, honestly.
Closed book tends to require a little bit less detail, typically.
Yeah, well,
But
this is the last class I had.
trust me.
I have to have extensive detail.
Okay.
Really good at explaining so you'll understand it and then you'll just be able to answer it.
Trust me. It's not. Once you see it, you'll be chill. It'll be fine because you'll be like, oh, I was worried for nothing because I'm not gonna surprise you with things